Friday, the 21st of June. We now come to the 10-minute rule motion. Paul Bristow.
Mr. Deputy Speaker, I beg to move that leave be given to bring in a bill to make provision about the advertising of waste disposal services to require local authorities to issue fixed penalty notices under Section 34 of the Environment Act 1990 in certain circumstances and for connected purposes. Mr. Deputy Speaker, we need a zero-tolerance approach to the criminal element in our society who are turning our neighbourhoods and rural beauty spots into rubbish tips.
Hear, hear.
No longer should our inner cities, suburbs, towns, villages and rural lanes be seen as dumping grounds for illegal waste. And we need to build on the work we have already done in tackling fly tipping and putting the tippers out of business. Yeah. Shockingly, there are over 1 million instances of fly tipping every year. Government and local councils spend hundreds of millions of pounds of taxpayers' money every year on cleaning up illegal waste sites across the country. It's a blight that not only tarnishes the beauty of our landscapes, but also inflicts profound harm on local environments and presents many risks to public health. Fly tipping ranges from household items to industrial waste. It's discarded at best carelessly, but sometimes very deliberately in our forests, fields, riversides, and even in densely populated urban areas. First and foremost, let's acknowledge the environmental and human toll of fly tipping. Toxins and pollutants contaminate the environment. Wildlife suffers as animals are exposed to hazardous materials. Furthermore, fly tipping poses a significant threat to public health. Dumped waste can contain harmful chemicals and often hazardous materials. These pollutants leach into the environment, contaminating the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the soil that sustains us. And all of this carries the risk of illness, disease, and infection, not just to humans, but also to domestic animals, pets, and wildlife. This is a vicious cycle, and we need to break it. Fly tipping also blights neighbourhoods and the urban environment too. It drives down property values, discourages investment, and creates an environment for crime. The unsightly mess left behind by fly tippers creates a sense of neglect and decay, decreasing any sense of local pride, and can foster a culture of apathy and resentment. I am sick to death, Mr. Deputy Speaker, of the mindless idiots who dump their rubbish on Peterborough streets. Fly tipping is seen in both rural and urban areas, and it's simply not fair on hard-working people, their neighbourhoods, who are constantly being a victim of this appalling behaviour. Moreover, the cost of cleaning up illegally dumped waste falls on these taxpayers, diverting resources that could be better spent on essential services and infrastructure. So what can we do about this pervasive problem? Well, of course, it begins with raising awareness and fostering a sense of accountability. We must educate our communities about the consequences of fly tipping and instill a collective commitment to responsible waste management. People want to take pride in their areas, but as well as education, there must be a much higher degree of deterrence. Local authorities must enforce the stringent laws which we do have in place against illegal dumping and impose severe penalties on perpetrators and deter future violations. Furthermore, we must invest in accessible and affordable waste disposal services, providing viable alternatives to illegal dumping. At the same time, we must ensure that these services of disposing waste legally are properly regulated. If I went on the internet, Mr. Deputy Speaker, I would find hundreds of services that would take my rubbish away for me. But how do I know where it is actually going? Who is to say that the company I've paid to dispose of my waste won't just drive 5 minutes down the road and dump it in a field? The problem here really is that consumers don't always know the difference between who is qualified to do what, and often, by no fault of their own, just want their waste taken away as soon as possible. This can lead to non-registered companies operating illegally and dumping household goods. This is the government's own statistic. 68% of all adverts for waste disposal are not registered, so therefore trading illegally in newspapers, online and in shop windows. And even political activists fall foul of this. While I had a lot of fun when a large number of Vote Labour posters appeared on private land of a business in Peterborough back in 2022, it did betray a serious point, that this political activist was a victim of this criminality behind these adverts. At this point, I would like to recognise Martin Montague and Joe Smith of Clear Waste, who sit with us in the gallery today. Martin and Joe have been tireless advocates for action on fly tipping for over 5 years now, and the fly tipping app Clear Waste has gathered significant attention and has become a top 10 app. If you haven't got it, take a look, and it's one of the very simple ways you can ensure you are using a licensed waste removal organisation, and you can also report fly tipping on it as well. My bill will require the display of a valid waste transfer licence for all waste removal service advertisements up front. This would further significantly limit the avenue for illegal operators, who would help people not unwittingly use illegal operators and unintentionally contribute to the scourge of fly tipping. The government has taken significant action over the last few years. Maximum penalties have been increased, and a ban on DIY household waste charges means that households no longer have to pay to get rid of small-scale DIY waste at council recycling centres. Funding has been made available to local authorities for trial projects, including CCTV, AI and education, and there's much more to be done, and my bill will help ensure a zero-tolerance approach to fly tipping. But the government need local authorities to act, and I would like to pay tribute, by the way, to Councillor Ishfaq Hussain, Councillor Brian Tyler, Councillor Chaz Fenner and Alex Rafiq, who have been amazing champions in Peterborough for strong action on fly tipping in urban settings, and Councillor Steve Allen and John Peach, who have done the same in rural areas. And on the issue of councils acting, the second aspect of this bill would make it necessary for local authorities to issue fines in cases where the evidence for fly tipping is clear on both public and private land. Whilst there's been great progress in many areas, it is still far too hit and miss. Scores and scores of local authorities do not prosecute a single case a year. This is unacceptable, and no longer can we tolerate town halls turning a blind eye. At the moment, a zero-tolerance approach in one area simply means large-scale criminal enterprises can move its operations to different areas. Only a consistent national approach to enforcement will put fly tippers out of business. Winning the war on fly tipping is a daunting challenge, but one we cannot afford to ignore. And I'd like to pay tribute to my honourable friend, the members for Hayward and Middleton, the members for Hyndburn and Haslingden, and Berry North for their support. This would not be here right now without their unflinching support for measures to tackle fly tipping. And through this bill, we're going to close loopholes that allow fly tippers to advertise their criminality online, and we're going to force local authorities to fine perpetrators on both public and private land. We need a zero-tolerance approach to end this scourge. Now, Mr Deputy Speaker, I have been fortunate enough to take 2 bills through the House in my time as an MP. The ballot secrecy bill, introduced by my noble friend Lord Hayward, tackles family votings and those who would attempt to subvert our democratic processes. The Local Government Pay Accountability Act bill tackles excessive town hall pay and the need for transparency, and it's passed its second reading. And now, Mr Deputy Speaker, fly tippers and criminals who dump their rubbish are firmly in my sights. And I hope that the government and honourable members will join us in the fight against fly tipping.
The question is that the honourable gentleman have leave to bring in his bill. As many of that opinion say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Who will prepare and bring in the bill?
Chris Clarkson, Sarah Brickliffe, Ranald Jawandina, James Daly, Lee Anderson, Alexander Stafford, Greg Smith, Jill Mortimer, Dr Caroline Johnson, Danny Kruger, and myself.
Paul Bristow.
Disposal of Waste, Advertising and Penalty Provision Bill.
Second reading what day?
Friday, the 17th of May.
Friday, the 17th of May. The clerk will now proceed to read the orders of the day.
Pedicabs London Bill, Lords Committee.
Now,
Order.